All right, so the same way that we framed up the walls yesterday, exact same way we did it here, nothing changed. The only difference being that this overhang. Now this overhang serves a purpose. Remember, we have another wall. So the difference that we have for this wall is where this wall and the next wall, so for instance over here, where it goes up to that one, it overlaps. And the way it overlaps is pretty simple. So on that side, for instance, I have my wall framing that is the width of a 2x4 or a 2x6, right? Plus on the end of that 2x6 is another 1.5 inches, right? So see how there's a gap? Well, that extra 1.5 inches is for the girder. They meet up together, and it'll make more sense once we put it up. But that's exactly how we do it. Now, oops, sorry, the wind's gonna be rough. I can't do much about it. The only issue with these are, if you try to put the walls on like this that are overlapping, if you try to put those on last, it's a real pain because you can't build them inside on your flat concrete or your flat smooth surface that you're building on. So it's far better to do these, do like we did, do one long wall and then do your two shorts that are gonna overlap. This is just more convenient for us. You can do it many different ways. There's not necessarily a right or wrong way. This is just the way we do it. So I'm gonna let you guys watch as we put this one up. We'll do it in, I'll do it in real time, and I'll edit the important parts in, and then I'll skip the rest. So what you saw Chrissy and I lining up is the anchor bolts. We already pre-drilled the holes. These bottom plates were made for it. You saw how we did that. So when we're setting them on here though, obviously metal is stronger than wood. So if you don't set them on there and you get them close, it will bust the hole out or it'll bend the bolt. One of the other is probably gonna happen because the walls do weigh a lot. So Chrissy's gonna go through and go ahead and start putting the nuts on the anchor bolts. The next thing that we're gonna do, once she does that, see how this wall, you can see it's leaning, right? See the gap gets bigger at the top? Not a big deal. We know that these are not lining up perfectly like they should. And we have a simple solution for it. We just have to pull them together. This wall right here is not plumb, meaning that it's not perfectly vertical. This wall over here is probably not perfectly vertical, nor is it necessarily lined up. So we're gonna push and pull on them, use ratchet straps, whatever we need to do necessarily to get them to where they're lined up where they need to be. But what you can see is, and I didn't catch it before we put the wall up, notice how I didn't cut any of the 2x6s off like I was supposed to? Going down the side, you're gonna see that this is hanging off. I'm gonna cut those all to where they're 1.5 inches overhang. Yeah, so now I gotta do that after I put the wall up. Silly mistake, but it happens. I do the same thing on the top. But thankfully we have a cordless circular saw, so that'll make that process a little simpler. Alright, so it's all trimmed. Once we pull the wall together, see this gap? Then it'll cover the end of this 2x12 that runs east-west. So Chrissy went ahead and hopped our fence. She's gonna push on this support that we have, and her pushing on that will actually push on the top of this wall, and it'll bring these two really close together.
Move anywhere?
Not really. Let me look.
There you go. You're there.
Oh, there's there's one in the truck right here, or in the tractor.
You don't want the big one?
Well, it's the big little one. Or the little big one. Looks a lot different than it did last night because it's daylight. Walls are all up, all tied in. The only downside is I can't do anything about this small gap because of the way my bolts, I drilled the holes. So small gap there, but you won't see it once the building is actually completed. And then all the way up, everything is tied in. It's very strong, very solid. We had some pretty high winds. We actually was racing weather. We got some storms last night. Wasn't a big deal though. It stood up just fine, which, I mean, the wall don't have any surface area, so it's, or it has surface area, but not a lot. So it's not like a kite or nothing like that. But yeah, this is basically how we did it. So I hope that you will all join us for the next video. The next one we'll actually be putting trusses up. My neighbors should be coming over to help, and we'll run a scissor lift to make it go a little smoother. Other than that though, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the videos. Have a blessed week.